talk to you about something that is very important to the heart of God, and that is those who are less fortunate. The Bible calls them the poor. And in Proverbs chapter 19, verse 17, he says, "He who lends to the poor gives to the Lord." And then again in Proverbs chapter 21, verse 13, he says, "Whoever shuts his ears to the cry of the poor will also cry himself and not be heard." All throughout the Word of God, we read stories about those who are less fortunate. And even today, as we look around the world, and we can see that there are many people who are less fortunate than you and I. The poor, those who are less fortunate, are so important to the heart of God. You know, isn't it something that when we see someone less fortunate than us, that it seems to touch our heart? At least it should. I think to most of us, we've seen the pictures of little children in Africa with their bones all sticking out, and they're like little skeletons, and it touches something deep inside of us. Sometimes we just shut those people out because we don't know how to deal with it, because we realize that so much of the world is in poverty. So much of the world is in desperate need, and so we don't really know what to do. All I can say is this: we can make a difference in someone's life today. Yeah, you may not change the continent of Africa. You may not eradicate AIDS and world hunger today. But you can help somebody. I can help somebody. We can do something to change someone's life. Someone around you needs you now. Obviously, we know here in the United States, there's many people who are poverty-stricken. And I'm not even talking about that. I'm not even talking about those who are just necessarily on the street, if you will. But there's people who are in need around us every single day. In need of the good news of the gospel, in need of financial assistance, in need of just someone to reach out a hand to them and help them in some way, shape, or form. I'll never forget the story of a man named Sabit. He was our lead carpenter for many years in southern Sudan. And Sabit, during the war, lost his leg. I can't remember if it had been shot off or if it was lost by a landmine, but either way, he had walked for years on one leg with crutches and got around with crutches. Great carpenter. He could scale a ladder like it was nothing, and he was such a hard worker. And yet he had a need. He needed another leg. And I remember our field coordinator, Dixon Matiso, saying, "Tom, I think that we can help this guy." And so there came the day when we met with Sabit, and I said, "Sabit, would you do me a favor? Would you pack up enough clothes," which he had barely any, "pack up enough clothes. You're going to be gone for about 2 weeks or a month. And I want you to just trust me. I'm not going to tell you where you're even going. I just need you to trust me." And Sabit said yes. And I remember we were getting ready to leave, and he jumped in the truck with us and with his crutches, and we drove to the airstrip, and I said, "Sabit, you're going with me on an airplane." He'd never been on an airplane before. He was so nervous. And I said, "I need you to trust me. Just trust me." He gets on the airplane with me. The plane starts up, and it goes down the runway, and I can see he is sweating profusely. Instantly, he just began to sweat with fear, and he's holding onto the seat in front of him, and he didn't know what was going on. We took off, we're flying, and I looked at him, and he looked at me with fear, and I said, "Trust me, just trust me." The plane lands in Lokichogio in the northern region of Kenya. We get out of the plane, and there's an ambulance from UNHCR waiting for him, from the Red Cross waiting for him. 2 different groups of people who were going to help him get a new leg, and he didn't even know it. I got out of the plane and went my separate way and came back to the United States. A month later, I turned around and went back to that place. I pulled up in a truck, and I remember going through the gate and saying, "I'm looking for Sabit. Could you please get him?" And they said, "Yes, give us a moment." And I stood there waiting at the guard station at this compound. And the next thing I know, I look up, And through another gate, Sabit was walking with no crutches for the first time in years and years and years. He had never been able to walk since his accident without crutches. And here he walked up to me with his arms held open wide, and he hugged me and thanked me. Why am I telling you that? Am I telling you that to sound like some sort of a hero in somebody's life? No way. But that guy, Sabit, matters to the Lord. He mattered to the Lord. And it was just an opportunity to lend to him, to help him, he who was less fortunate. Can I tell you this? The blessing that came back to us as a result of helping Sabit is so much greater than what we gave to him. I'll never forget what it was like dropping him off in his home village and him getting out of the truck and his children seeing him walk for the very first time in their lives without crutches, and all gathering around him, and he sweeps them up in his arms, and they're laughing and carrying on, and nothing could have been greater than that moment. Compared to the cost that it cost us to help him, it was nothing compared to the joy of seeing his children embrace him and see him walk for the first time. I don't know who you have in your life. I don't know the influence that you have, but I can almost guarantee that somebody you know needs your help, needs your assistance. And you know what, today you may go to the supermarket and see somebody in line, and God would just put it on your heart to pay their bill for them. Or maybe you see somebody at the gas station. Everybody knows the price of gas has gone way up. Maybe you can reach out and pay somebody's gas for them. I don't know what you can do. I don't know who you know. But all I would ask is that all of us would walk by the Spirit and say, God, would you please show us somebody that needs us today? Go and change your world, and we'll do the same. God bless you. Have an awesome week.